You're all matched up, man. The whole thing, the cells, top to bottom. I thought it was just an accident. It go either way. The governor is so slick. She'll do whatever she suits her purposes. Who knows what her purpose is? So I think that's what. What do you think? You know him? No, I don't. I know. He trained the man, part of a larger passed in both directions. I asked him. Oh, you know, the paperwork was sloppy. Well, okay. Oh. Whatever.
Now we got three. Three against.
Whatever. It'll be. No, it's a joke. She's playing perfect.
Yeah, let somebody else.
What's on? Who's running the legislature?
Yeah, it was high school baseball, softball, home games, high school practice.
She's shrewd.
Oh, it's attraction. She's still out.
I know, I wanted to see the boys play baseball.
By your time, yeah.
But I did go see that basketball game, that last basketball game.
That was in North.
No, that was, yeah, it was a little while ago. So it, oh my gosh, yes. They won both games.
They're doing.
Yeah, and I got to see Sam's house. Well, I did. Every time they got a basket, I was just a holler.
What was the score?
The end, the bottom of the, like I said, it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they went to the second. The second,
And you got training.
Good evening, everyone. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is the action on minutes. To see what action the board wishes to take regarding approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting held on April 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion? Make a motion to approve. Thank you, Tanya. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion?
I got a couple minor typos. I can give it to
Okay.
Superintendent afterwards.
Sure.
All right,
Thank you, Scott. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from April 8th? Thank you. Next is citizen comments. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak this evening? Seeing none, are there any board members that would like to speak this evening? Moving on to the chairman's report, I have nothing to report this evening. And upcoming committee and board meetings. The next scheduled SAD44 board meeting is Monday, May 13th at 6:30 PM. We do have an agenda item this evening that pertains to that meeting days. That may change. A reminder that the public budget hearing will be hosted on Wednesday, May 29th in the Helen C. Berry Auditorium here at Telstar. The Education Committee will meet next on Thursday, May 2nd at 3 PM in the Norway Savings Bank Conference Room. Finance and Negotiations Committee will meet May 21st at 5:30 in the Superintendent's office. Facilities and Personnel will meet Monday, May 13th at 5:15 in room 131 here at Telstar. Policy will meet Monday, April 29th at 10 AM in room 131 here at Telstar as well. And the Region 9 Cooperative Board will meet Wednesday, May 1st at 6 PM at the Region 9 School of Biotechnology. Next, committee reports, reporting to the Education Committee.
Sure thing. So the Education Committee met on the 11th, which was the Thursday before break. We had Kelly Frazier come in, our district librarian and Telstar Middle and High School librarian, to come in and talk to us, take us through sort of her history here, and the process she uses in choosing books for our libraries, and how she helps students choose appropriate books for them on many levels. I thought was very interesting the unique connection she makes with incoming sixth graders who are kind of losing their scheduled library time as a special when they get up to middle school. So they really make a concerted effort to get them down during ELA classes on a regular basis, and she works with the students very closely in sort of establishing that relationship and gets to know them as readers. It was a chock-full meeting and a lot of information, but the idea is to have her come back, if she will, in a board workshop environment to present it to the full board so we can have discussion and questions and such. So that is the hope.
And for Facilities and Personnel, Marcy's not here. I think Amy's not going to be either. Okay. Easy enough. And for the Finance Committee, Meredith.
Good evening. We met on Tuesday, April 9th, and we have begun contract negotiations with AFSCME. We met with their rep to set some ground rules, and we meet with them.
For the Policy Committee, David Bartlett.
Yeah, we have not met either, but I believe we will be voting on one policy tonight that was tabled last.
And for the Region 9 Cooperative Board, David Jones.
I was wrong last time, along with several other members. They actually had their meeting. But I was informed by Norm that it was basically a pro forma meeting. As far as I know, nothing is wrong. Everything is right except for the fact that Mexico, of course, along with Rumford, is in terrible shape still from the floods. And it's very difficult for Region 9 to approach the towns as it usually does, because their difficulties are greater than those of Region 9. So they're doing their own thing, and as far as I can tell, they're doing it well, and shortly we'll actually have a meeting that everybody will attend.
Moving on to the Superintendent's report and correspondence.
I have a short report tonight, everybody. I have one appointment to announce. We have Karen Puya, who is an Ed Tech 3 in the Special Ed Department at Woodstock. Is a new hire. No other resignations or appointments since our last meeting. That's all I have for tonight.
Moving on, we don't have any old business to take care of this evening. New business, are there any adjustments at all to the agenda? Moving on to number 3, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the approval of the FY25 SAD44 General Fund budget as presented on April 8th, 2024. And the Finance and Negotiations Committee will have a recommendation.
The Finance Committee recommends approval.
We do not need a second, but we have the recommendation from the Finance and Negotiations Committee. Is there any discussion?
Dave?
As I scrutinized the budget over the last few days, I'm having a hard time with a few things on it. Number one, I know that the state share is dropped, and nothing that we can do to take care of that. But the $11.1 million increase, which I believe it is,
No.
1.4
$1.4 million.
increase. How did I get 11? Oh, then, that makes sense. But I still do have an issue with the hiring of the Crescent Park School second positions. Superintendent, is it?
The assistant principal.
Assistant principal,
Assistant administrator.
over $100,000 for salary. Can you give me the lowdown again on the reason why the committee felt that that was necessary?
Sure. So the proposal was made, and it was brought to the committee based on the fact that it's the biggest single building in the district. There's one administrator. And the number of disciplinary cases has increased over the years with the addition of pre-K, post-COVID. It's also for better teacher evaluation and observation cycles. For one person to do that entire building, it's not as effective as having a second person to come in and be eyes on and be in the classrooms more. And so in order to try and be proactive and get ahead of some of the behavior issues that come up to the middle school, if they could have more support in the elementary school to do that, it would also remove a social worker who is helping in that role right now and allow her to do her role versus being a disciplinarian, which really goes against the role of a social worker in the building. So it allows them to separate that out and allow her to truly work with the kids as they need to in their behaviors and their emotions.
So there's no one in the system that you feel that could take on that responsibility, moving up as we do in the...
Well, that would be the goal, but we need the position in the budget to pass first to make it accessible before we can do that. And the goal is that we would have somebody internal to move up, yes.
We were talking about not backfilling if you bump somebody up, right?
Right, maybe if you could bump somebody up, and then that position that they initially had could be bumped up too, to somebody else. But I'm just trying to get, seeing if we really need to spend $100,000 on that position. Normally, I think people in the district, the taxpayers, are looking at, yes, we have an increase in kindergarten people coming in, but there's no increase in Crescent Park school students coming in to increase the enrollment. So normally, those type of positions are put in when there's increased enrollment. That's why I think it's going to be hard to get this passed, looking at that equation.
Could you clarify, if somebody is moved up, then does the new post cost an additional $100,000, or does it cost the difference between their previous?
It would depend on, so, depends on who applies. You can't always assume how this fills out. If it's a classroom teacher moving up, that $100,000 is salary, benefits, insurance,
Right.
retirement,
Of
all
course,
bundled
of course.
together, not just salary. And that's what the whole package looks like in the budget. That's not what they'd be paid. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand
And
about
then
the benefits.
if it's a teacher and they vacate the classroom, if a teacher comes in with less experience, you're having a savings over that position from what they're vacating already. It just, we have to wait and see we can't set up the position until we have it in the budget to be able to afford it.
Yeah, I see you doing it, but,
Would it help if we clarified that that doesn't necessarily mean an additional, I mean, because you're concerned, I think rightly, about the public reaction. Would it help to clarify that this may not mean $100,000
It's new money.
increase?
This is new money. I mean, I support it, but it is new money. There's
That
no.
position-
Okay, that is-
Essentially,
yeah.
what you're saying is that it's up to $100,000, it's not necessarily their max.
That position, that's the cost added to
Of
the
that,
position.
as an added, I take your point.
We're plugging in an assistant principal now to give her some.
Yeah, I take your point. I
You
take
may
your point.
have a savings if you bring in, if it's a teacher, you may have a savings if a teacher with lesser experience.
But you still have to,
So
but
there'll
right,
be
but
on
it'd
the
be,
other end of things,
right.
it's a different line.
no,
so actually, you're looking at, say it's 100,000 even, you're looking at 80,000 for salary and then 20,000 for benefits and others. Is that close?
It's probably closer to 70-40, 70-30. So salary's closer to
Okay.
70, and then the benefits and insurance on top of that is
Yeah.
closer to 30.
Just trying to get a,
In order to do the disciplinary stuff that's needed, it would have to be an administrator though, right?
Yes.
That's the title
Uh-huh.
that we're paying for.
And someone has a certification for it.
yeah.
Give the principal more presence.
Right.
okay, that's good to know.
And flexibility, for recess cover or for lunch duty coverage, just to be out and about in the building and not,
No, that's,
building-wide coverage, another body will help with that. So,
Not to puffer up too much, but I certainly understand the financial implications of adding somebody, but I do also just want to make a note that as somebody with a child in the district, Tanya is very hands-on. I mean, the day that the bus wasn't running, she was texting me about the bus, and so she gets my kid out of the car every day, pretty much. So I can see the need for her to need help, is what I'm saying, is that she's got her hand in everything, and that's not necessarily sustainable for such a large school. So I understand the financial implications, but also the need.
We should also consider that if the current social worker is not really doing her job because she has to deal with disciplinary, like having a social worker doing what she's supposed to be doing can actually help the big picture as well at the school. Because
A little more clarification of this for the public might address part of your concern, David?
Yes, a strong understanding from the public on this, major reasons why
I mean, I'm accepting of it,
because
but I'm now much clearer than I was before.
right, I mean, I'm thinking of just being a regular taxpayer in the town of Newry and looking at the budget and saying, I don't think I could vote for this in the way it stands right now because of these reasons.
thank you.
I just wasn't totally clear. Can you just give a quick overview of how many administrators there are currently in the other buildings? I just don't know, because they got shuffled
In this
around last year,
complex, you
right?
have 3 administrators, a middle school principal, a high school principal, and a shared dean assistant, 612.
For discipline.
And Woodstock has a half-time teaching principal, teaching half-time, administrator half-time.
So we have 4.5 administrators in the district for 800 kids.
Or 700 kids, yeah.
And none of those other administrators could find time to take on some of that.
No.
I just wanted to point out, it's not just enrollment either. Student needs have changed significantly over the last several years, so the demands are greater, even though the population may still be the same. And plus, this isn't, Dr. Murphy mentioned this last year at one of our meetings, that this is likely something that was going to come up because it's needed.
Comment, you kind of addressed different people's things you're saying. We asked the superintendent the question, the enrollment's stable, it's not going up really. was not really contracting anymore. So in that premise, question was asked, how many more positions are you gonna need? Because we're adding more people, it's a nurse, right, the nurse and the principal, and that's they're the two positions, that's the new bodies. And, you know, I hate to add people for the same number of students, but there's a care and custody standard that's gotta be met before any education happens. That's what's happening here. And, you know, but I guess back to the question we asked, you know, is there anybody else in the pipe? I think your answer was roughly no, but maybe something to special ed is what I thought I heard you say. But that's kind of the message for the public is we got good ratio of teachers,
We're very lucky in that regard, yes.
So the budget has the pain in it already, get these two more bodies in here. I guess, in theory, that sort of it levels off them and just, you know, working on whatever we're gonna work on here. I don't know.
That's the goal.
But the tax thing is what it is, there's other numbers going up, everybody's getting more money, everybody costs more money, everything costs more money, so it's all pushing up now. The state money loss, all, the valuations, we'll talk about that another night, not tonight.
Even more, everything that's been said here is a reminder that, yeah, it's convincing, it needs to be put out, because it will be convincing. I think that I'm impressed.
And did you say the grant writing position is being eliminated? Did I hear that last time?
Yes.
So that's Mr. Murphy's position? And the reason?
Not have the budget go any higher.
No.
Budget go any higher.
Yeah, no, but you, was that a state funded?
No, that was a local
That was-
budget funded thing.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor of approving the FY '25 MSAB 44 general fund budget as presented on April 8th, 2024? Number 4, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the approval of the FY '25 MSAB 44 adult and community education budget as presented on April 8th, 2024. And the finance negotiations committee will have a recommendation.
The finance committee recommends approval.
Discussion. Seeing none, all of those in favor of approving the FY '25 MSA 44 adult and community education budget? Thank you. Number 5, to see what action the board wishes to take to include an additional warrant article to the FY '25 public budget meeting agenda to transfer an amount to the school nutrition program account if needed. And finance negotiations committee will have a recommendation.
The finance committee recommends approval.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor of approving the additional warrant article for the school nutrition program account? Thank you. Seeing none.
Could I put a recommendation, we already voted, but we don't know what the amount's gonna be. We looked at the numbers and we think it will be no more than 50,000. We have it in a reserve account, but until we get closer to the end of the year, we won't know what to put in. I don't know if you wanna be comfortable in setting an amount now or just leave it as is. It won't be more than that. In the past, you've had a dollar amount included in that warrant, so people knew. But it depends on how you want it to be worded in the warrant. If you want a dollar amount up to a certain amount as needed, and if it is needed, we don't need to put it in.
Maybe not to exceed. Not to exceed. People like that. Yeah.
Right now, it looks like they might be able to be in the budget and anything, but we won't know until to the end of the year as to how that will play out, so. I just would throw that out there in case we wanna be more specific so people know. It's not unlimited cash flow that is needed in endless amounts of money.
So do we need to backtrack and take it back?
Probably not. Sorry.
Is there anyone, sure, it would probably still be an amendment, and should we kick it back to discussion for a moment, maybe, just rewind a little? Is there an amount that we want to throw out, or not to exceed, or out to?
50,000.
Okay.
That's what the same reserve.
And what is this to cover in the difference for?
in case the food service program ends up in the red, legally we have to end in the black as a federal program. And if they, at the end, are not able to meet all their bills, we have to make up the difference. It's a federal requirement, so,
Food to feed the kids in the district.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And historically, that has been the case where the food service program runs out of deficit. So we do have to transfer money over, we don't, or we haven't.
We're just trying to make sure we're staying as close to black on our own, but if for some reason we get to the end and we're not,
And that's through the summer too, or feeding the kids as,
that
That's
starts a new budget cycle, July 1,
okay.
so it starts over again. But yes, that part, those things are included in some of the grants and some of the money that they're in.
Just checking for mechanical purposes. Is this therefore an addition, since we had already voted?
I think so.
I
I'm
just-
trying to
yeah,
think of
I only want-
Yes, that,
Sorry, I'm not ordinarily a stickler, but I'm always a little frightened when money is involved,
right,
that we have made ourselves perfectly clear.
Should we make a motion to amend?
that's one thing is if we make the amendment to, everybody.
Make a motion to amend, to include, the language of not to exceed $50,000.
We have a second for the amended motion. Yeah, any discussion on the amended motion?
I got a larger question, Aaron. So, when do we actually, do we vote a warrant? We're gonna actually vote a warrant with the exact wording, when does that happen? Or did we just do it?
That's what we're working on
Well,
now.
that warrant will go to the public hearing and then onto the ballot in June.
Do next regular meeting is the 13th of May, do we do something, is, the actual articles that appear on the ballot, when does the board vote them? Or is it de
That's
facto?
what you're doing tonight, and the articles will be all set, and you'll be signing those.
So the language over, but the meat of it, of course, is the money, and that'll, the various articles, the cost centers will go down, and,
You'll be signing all those at the next board meeting.
all right, so we're actually voting the warrant, and this one here is to add tack on something else to keep it all on the up and up.
Just so it's in reserve there and available.
Got it, thank you.
Any further discussion on the amended motion? All of those in favor of, are we approving an additional warrant article to the FY25 public budget meeting agenda to transfer an amount not to exceed $50,000 to the school nutrition program account if needed?
Oh, shit, I thought you were, I didn't hear your call for it, I was looking for. We adjourning yet? Soon.
Number 6, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the second and final reading of policy GBGB workplace program. And the policy committee will have a recommendation.
Policy committee recommend approval.
Thank you, David. Any discussion?
This was the one that we were waiting for updates? And there
Yes.
were no updates?
We did get the clarification on the legal reference as being, the one that we had before was a typo that was given to us, and it's been corrected now.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the second and final reading of policy GBGB? Thank you. Seeing none, that's it. Number 7, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the acceptance of a recreational trails program grant from the State of Maine Outdoor Recreation Program for the purpose of constructing mountain biking trails on Telstar property. And finance negotiations will have a recommendation.
The finance committee recommends approval.
Thank you. Discussion.
You talk about this?
I mentioned before, but we had to wait till it came in.
At the committee?
Yes. We talked about I mentioned the last board meeting in my superintendent's report too.
Yeah.
Just letting people know that might be
Right.
coming. We finally have,
The
approval.
All right,
It's okay.
all right, sounds good.
so this
How
is
much money's involved, Mark?
this is a collaborative grant of a total of $67,000. So the state of Maine is giving us $47,000. And then, we have a matching grant from the Northern Forest Collaborative here in town for another $20,000
Existing trails or
to
something new?
create new trails out back here on campus.
And
They
the
don't-
total distance?
We haven't determined yet. So the goal right now is to separate them from the current cross-country ski trails and actually make specific mountain biking trails. This will be a workforce development where the kids will actually be paid to help create and learn how to manicure these and update them and keep them going, doing them the right way and being sustainable. Dave Perkins and Dr. Murphy worked on this grant way back, starting in October, and it was delayed twice, and we finally got the approval. There were 3 rounds, and the state actually put them all into one final round together, so we had to wait. But so the state is giving us the $47,000, and then the Forest Collaborative is also giving us additional 20. It's a matching fund, so it's a collaborative grant. So we'll have the $67,000 to work with, which will help with equipment, supplies, labor, and so the kids will be involved in that as well as adults in the area.
Is there a design, formal design?
They're not yet. Now we have the grant. Now we'll go through the process with them to determine where it needs to go and whether you set in bridges and other things they need to have to worry about all the ecology pieces that go with it.
Thank you.
Once again, it's the sort of thing that would be useful to be sure that the public is aware of. In this case, because something good is happening, and it isn't costing them any money. I mean,
Now we have it.
that's
We can
an
advertise.
attractive aspect of what we do.
It's a great deal. It'll be very unique to expand.
Mm.
the
And
form
it
of
should be,
mountain bike.
and it should be made quite public.
It'll be allowed for the phys ed classes to use the mountain bikes for, but also for an after-school club to be able to use them as well.
Everything you're saying can only redound in our favor come budget vote.
My question was just if the trails were gonna be open to the public, and if they are, does that have any, like, building implications?
They will be open,
We don't know.
just like the ski trails are.
Yeah.
The kids will work on signage and maps and all those pieces that go with it. They'll be posted. Liability, it's a public space.
I'm just wondering, like,
Right.
bathrooms, those sorts of things, like, is that gonna,
We wouldn't have anything.
there's no plan?
Not for
Huge.
that. Not in this grant. This grant covers the building and creation of the trails and supplies to do it.
I'm just thinking, if there's all of a sudden a bunch of people coming to use our mountain bike trails and we have a porta potty that can't keep up with the situation and
We
all
may have
that.
to look at expansion in other,
Yep.
facilities as we go on forward. It'll be interesting to see if people will use them.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see people use them, other than just the kids. That's hard to say.
And it's also a continuation of what's going on at CPS, right? They have a whole network.
Which ties into the Bethel Inn and everything around town, so it would be a way they can access all the way through.
Landowners, aware of this?
We own the land.
Adjacent landowners?
I'm not sure, but everything will be access to our property. We have 90 acres out back, so we can do everything, just like the ski trails are now.
Well, I just, we had an incident up in Newry where, some trails were being used and they were being abused, and, landowners had to close them down because they found feces, human feces, animal feces on their property, and I just didn't want something like that.
Okay. I'm not sure if they give it the application, but we can certainly let people know. That's a good recommendation.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the recreational trails program grant? Thank you. None. To see an action the board wishes to take.
Where's it going?
To see what action the board wishes to take with regard to changing the May 13th, 2024 school board meeting to May 6th in order to sign the appropriate election documents. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to amend and accept.
Thank you, Tammy. A second?
Second.
Thank you, David. Discussion.
Yeah, I guess why was,
I was gonna say probably our explanation.
why wasn't it caught earlier?
Well,
Or
in
was
us
we missing something, or is
affording this meeting and more discussion, think time for the budget, we closed the window. We typically would have put together the warrant articles at the last meeting. So we need to allot enough time to sign them to get them to the public budget hearing.
Yeah.
So just kind of a shift of
Right,
timeline.
right, so
There'll be
this
a
is
lot more
statutorily
time.
driven.
Yes, yes.
That's okay, so we do this, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's dance recital week, but we will make it.
Priority stuff.
We'll keep our short agenda.
Thank you.
Bring multiple pens.
Oh, God, yeah.
And remember, there's no red one.
All right. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of moving the May 13th meeting to May 6th? Thank you. And number 10, to see what action the board wishes to take to enter into a planning discussion to draft a list of topics and/or questions for future board workshop sessions. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, David. Discussion.
So what's the motion?
Motion to enter into a planning session? To
Well, what
discuss
action the board wishes, I don't know, I guess what's the specific, I guess, I mean, I have a little fun, but it's, you're looking for suggestions on how to, we would just,
It's allowing
Fire
us the
topics
opportunity,
to you and we'll-
yeah, to have discussion. We want to start building into workshops,
Yeah.
into our regular meeting
Yeah.
schedule, and welcome any feedback that we might have.
so
Board
workshop
members.
within one of these events. So more of a
Probably more
free-for-all.
standalone. Initially, we wanted to have tonight as a workshop on its own, but there were other items that we had to tend to, so we figured if anything, this was a happy medium. We could get a feel, open it up for discussion, see what people might like to see in a workshop format, and then proceed from there. Any suggestions?
Cell phone use.
Thank you.
Is good.
Can we discuss possibly bringing Kelly Fraser back to discuss
I'm sorry.
her process of choosing the books? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Library policies.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Basically, Kelly repeating her presentation that she presented to the education committee is very informative. And she also told us that she was the one that has apparently she teaches the 6th grade technology class. So having her potentially come in and present on that as well, I think would be helpful.
And she was the common sense media,
Yeah.
internet safety piece for us, all the 6th graders.
Any other pressing topics?
I know it's not fun, but is it for the Murphy laws, how to have a good meeting?
Oh, Robert's rules.
Robert's rules,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Somebody
Which could be Marcus.
Those
For many years.
There's another sense of Murphy's Law, however,
Yes.
which we want to avoid.
I'd like to think about my response a little bit before I give you, I mean,
Yeah.
some people here are aware of some of my issues I have passion about, the inequitable tax structure. I think board members ought to be, most of these votes are confirmatory, which is fine, but there's been a few votes, and I've done a couple of years, a few things I think have been where board members are expected to just, well, to be a stage prop, which is disrespectful. It's one thing to be a rubber stamp where, you know, state law dictates 95% of the stuff, it's all just gonna go through. Taxes are going up, and there's no choice, all this stuff's happening. But once in a while we get a vote, I'd like to think about that and try to put something in writing about how to alter, or at least modify the role of board members from time to time, or how our system, our administration treats the board members, that individual points of view and things like that. There ought to be a little better process. But I gotta work on that, and I'd like a chance to think about that, so,
Absolutely.
thank you.
David?
Is this possibly the sort of thing that each of the standing committees, if it chooses to, should submit to you a suggestion for a workshop? That derives from the kind of activity they've been involved in. I'm not saying there's nothing to be done today about it, but perhaps that's an appropriate mode.
Absolutely.
more in-depth information about that, because, you know, not all of us stand on that committee, so to be able to have some details about that, it might help us as we're thinking about future budgets.
Physical plant is kind of fundamental.
No, no.
Any other suggestions or feedback at all?
I think it's a good idea, I think it ought to be pursued. I mean, some of it may turn into, executive session, there may be elements of that, it could be, or I think, or the idea, we're doing quarterly discussions, it seems like the superintendent, it's a good idea, so if we had, even just have that spirit in the, you know, talk about, he wants feedback on performance, when we get into that, that's a piece of it, that's, you know, it's related to this, but also, obviously, for different, you know, for reasons that are private on that, so. But I think it's a good idea, I think it'll be, you know, expanded. Maybe.
What's that? Right. All those in favor of doing workshops in the future?
Yeah.
I guess we all do.
All right. And we have
A
a motion
motion
for
to
adjournment.
adjourn this meeting.
And a second.
Must be one of the earliest ones.
I was gonna say, is this a record?
It must be a record.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully, there's more time.